I come from the high-tech industry. I worked in sourcing and procurement roles at large high-tech companies like Cisco, Flextronics, and Broadcom. Always felt like I was very good at chasing suppliers, trying to resolve a shortage, begging for parts and begging for capacity. It always felt like in procurement we were very reactive, behind the game, so to speak. We didn't know about events or disruptions that had happened until it was too late, and then the $2 part became $20, and we were trying to do the best we could. And then after many years of doing that, I went to Cisco, where Hurricane Katrina had just happened, and our leadership said, well, how can we not know that a critical supplier built parts in hurricane region? And if we don't know this about this supplier, who else do we not know? And so that began my journey in mapping the supply chain, working collaboratively with our suppliers, and there were more than 1,000 of them, and we had to figure out where they built the parts we bought. More than 45,000 parts at the time. So it took us a few years to go do that, but I saw we went from being very reactive before to actually being able to anticipate where the next disruption might come from. And we had not spent hundreds of millions building new factories. What we had done was add data. And the data was two things: understanding where parts came from, who were the suppliers in our supply chain, and two, putting an early warning capability for monitoring global disruptions. So we were first to the line to get parts whenever something happened. So I said, well, if we had this incredible outcome, then every product company could benefit from these capabilities. The problem was there was just no solution provider on the market. Now, this is where it gets interesting. I would come home all the time and tell my family that someone needs to start a company because this is such a big problem. Someone needs to do this. But I'm not a software person, so I don't know how to bring products to market. My husband, on the other hand, he's a software engineer. He's got a very strong, years-long product management background. So one day he said, tell me about this idea you keep talking about. So the two of us start talking, and I explained to him how it would be amazing if suppliers had this one place, a standard place where they could put all their data, approve many customers access, and it would be a secure way for suppliers to build the trust and collaborate with many customers in an efficient way, and it would save money for everyone. And so the two of us came up with this idea for the LinkedIn for supply chain, and we started Resilinc in 2010. 2010 was before big events like the Japan tsunami or the Thailand floods had happened. And so a lot of times we would go talk to customers or prospective customers, and people would not really understand what this was, why this was going to help them. A lot of people had not done the type of mapping that I had done at Cisco and not seen firsthand the value. And there was this prevailing idea that we know all this stuff about our suppliers. And so it was really challenging initially to really convince the market that we had a solution that was valuable, that could really help make a difference. And let's face it, 13 years ago, I was 13 years younger. So it was really hard for me to convince people and look credible in front of people with many 30 plus years of experience and tell them I had a way that they could run their supply chain more, make it more resilient in a more efficient way. But we persevered, right? And initially, obviously some of the events that happened in 2011 were highly disruptive. And many chief procurement officers realized that they thought they had all this knowledge, all this expertise and visibility, but that they did not. And so we started to see a lot of initial customer interest in what we were doing, and initially started in high tech and semiconductor. And then in 2013 went into automotive, then pharmaceuticals and life science with customers like GM and Amgen. And then we grew from there into medical devices and then aerospace defense. And that's where we are.